now by our Senior Counsel for Global Affairs, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And Secretary Pompeo, there's a lot of news to get to. I want to start with the border because on Sunday, Vice President Harris, she did a sit-down interview on Meet the Press, got asked the first tough questions from Chuck Todd. Didn't get a lot of follow-up, but she claimed in that interview, when she was asked about the southern border, that the border is secure. Those are her words, that the border is secure. I don't know where she's living or what news she's reporting. I mean, it seems every day we're hearing worse things about what kind of drugs are coming through the border, what cartels are utilizing the border. But how dangerous is that if our vice president truly believes this is the message for the American people, is everything is fine at the southern border, it's secure?
Jordan, I don't think for a moment she believes the border is really secure. I think she is gaslighting us. I think she is trying to tell us what my mother would have called a whopper. A simpler explanation, she is lying. We all know the reality. We all know the reality of millions of people coming across that border in record numbers and in increasing numbers. She knows it too, and she used that moment with the world watching to tell the world a story that everyone can see with their own eyes. We don't have to guess. We don't have to imagine. This isn't about data analysis. This is about things we can see, and the risk to the United States is very real. The number of folks who are coming across on the terror watch list, the number of folks who are dragging fentanyl in that's destroying communities is enormously real. And you've got a vice president of the United States who has chosen not to go see it, not to go visit it, but rather tell the American people a fairy tale about our southern border being secured.
Mike, I said yesterday on the broadcast that when she says to Chuck Todd, our southern border is secured, I said, yeah, it's secured if your definition of secured is open borders, no restrictions, hundreds of thousands of people coming through, millions actually, and then you have sex trafficking and drug cartels basically controlling access. So if that's what they mean by secured, that's secure. But here's the problem, though. There's nobody, they're not offering a concrete solution for this. She, the vice president, is supposed to be, Mike, in charge of the border issue.
Jay, that's a very generous way to talk about how they might be defining it that way. I know you were doing that tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
Because the reality is any common sense understanding of any notion of security for the American people is refuted by the reality on the ground. She is in charge of it. We all remember it's been a number of months. She went down to Central America to try and solve the, quote, root cause of this migration. Well, the root cause of them being allowed to come into the border is that, frankly, the progressive part of the Democrat Party likes this. They like open borders. They're happy with this non-enforcement of this most basic premise of American sovereignty. I think Vice President Harris is in exactly that part of her party, and she does see this. She sees this as sufficiently secure. This is accomplishing her mission. They have no intention of fixing what is really dangerous, not just for Arizonans and Californians and Texas, but people all across America.
You know, the White House, we got the inflation numbers out, and because they're down 0.2% from the July to August numbers, the White House said, and President Biden just tweeted, actually, today's data shows progress in fighting inflation. The numbers we pulled, the food at home inflation is up 13.5%. That's the largest since 1979. Rent's up 6.7% in the past year. That's the largest since 1986. Electricity up 15.8%, the largest since 1981. Health insurance up 24.3%, the largest ever. So this idea, we talked about gaslighting, but they're going to have an event at the White House celebrating their, quote, Inflation Reduction Act today, and inflation is not being reduced.
Here's the good news. I've been out traveling the country. The American people can see this. The American people aren't being fooled by the Inflation Reduction Act or a presidential tweet or some narrative that somehow the fact that inflation's gone from 10 to 9 to 8 is a good thing for them. They can see they can't afford to fill their car up. The cost to heat their home this winter is going to be staggering. If they're a Kansas farmer, their fertilizer prices are through the roof. And that inflation is touching every American family. And that's what we should remember. This is not something you can tell the American people a story about because they are living and suffering from the catastrophe that has been the Biden administration's economic policy.
I want to take a call on line 2 because I think while we have the secretary here, and he's been traveling around the country, and we've been talking to people around the country as well. This would be a really good point to ask.
Yeah, Ivy in Texas, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Sure.
Hey, listen, my question is about the Senate and the Congress.
Yep.
That even if we win in November, couldn't Biden just veto everything that they set forth?
Okay, so this is Mike. This is a great question, and that is if the Republicans get the House and the Senate back, and then the president just starts vetoing everything. Well, that's not so easy to do because there's some of this can be continuing resolutions on funding. But I wanted to get your sense. You've been out. We've been out. What's your sense on where we are right now politically? I know you've been out with a lot of candidates. But let's talk about the House first, and then we'll talk about the Senate.
But there's always work to do until we cross the finish line in the first week in November. So we should never take anything for granted. But I will tell you, people are concerned. They are anxious. They understand that the fact that gasoline costs so much, the fact that there's not food on the shelves. This isn't Vladimir Putin's problem. It's not Donald Trump's problem. I'm trying to think of all the people that Biden blamed for this. This is a direct result of the decisions that Senator Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and President Biden foisted on the American people, and I am very confident the House of Representatives will change control as long as we continue to work on the things that matter for the American people and present real solutions. We have them. We know them. We'll get it right, and I think voters will recognize that.
You've served in the House of Representatives, so you understand that. Now, the Senate, much closer races. It takes a lot to get that shipped. What's your view on where we are there?
I'm still confident. I think we're going to do great. I was down in Georgia, I guess it was Friday of last week. I'm headed back out to help a couple Senate candidates a couple weeks from now. It still feels like the American people can see through. Someone like a Fetterman or someone like Raphael Warnock, Senator Warnock down in Georgia, the American people can see these people are part of the problem. They are part of the Schumer, Pelosi, Biden team. They vote with them 100% of the time or 98% of the time. They'll go home and tell people they're like them, but the truth of the matter is these are progressives, and people understand that progressives are destroying the things that matter, whether it's religious freedom or the way our kids are taught in schools or the cost of things, crime. The list is long. People can see what the progressives have brought to America, and I'm confident when they start focusing here as we move into the fall and everyone settles into really focusing on the election that we'll win enough Senate races to get to 51 or 52 seats, and then we'll have the ability to at the very least, stop much of what President Biden intends to do.
Sounds good to me. Secretary Pompeo, it's always great to have you on the broadcast.